Joe Biden and his running mate Kamala Harris have both visited the family of Jacob Blake. Kamala Harris even said, amazingly, that she's proud of Jacob Blake. Of course, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have not visited the woman Jacob Blake is accused of sexually assaulting. They also have not visited with the family of the Las Vegas police officer, Shea Michelonis, who was shot and paralyzed at a BLM riot this summer. So why haven't any reporters asked Joe Biden or Kamala Harris about this? Maybe because they don't talk to Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. One of the very few people who has interviewed Biden this election cycle is Cardi B, who is a rapper and now a journalist. That may explain the silence. Our next guest has argued that Joe Biden should not have done the interview with Cardi B. And of course, she's been attacked for suggesting that. Anyone who thinks freely is attacked. Candace Owens definitely thinks freely. She's the author of Blackout, How Black America Can Make Its Escape from the Democrat Plantation. We're happy to have her on tonight. Candace, thanks so much for coming on. So
Thank you so much for having me.
You made what I thought was a pretty sensible case that this is not a journalist. This is actually a pretty repulsive person. And Biden shouldn't dignify her with this interview. What happened next?
Yeah, I was just being very honest, and I did not mean it as an insult to Cardi B. If anything, it was me calling out the DNC and the Democrats for insulting Black America by platforming her and her nonsense and her ignorance as someone viable to give a sound interview to Joe Biden. And she freaked out. I mean, she literally went on a rampage on Twitter. She insulted me. She insulted, my pregnancy. I'm 6 months pregnant. She insulted my unborn child, my husband. And it was a largely emotional attack, pretty much because she had no argument and she could not obviously argue with me from an intellectual standpoint or talk about why it is she supports Joe Biden. What we saw in that interview between her and Joe Biden was pure puppetry. And that's what we see over and over and over again. Look, I think it's a manifest of the bigotry of low expectations when Joe Biden, who has been in his basement for the entire year, decides to make an appearance and to speak to Black America through Cardi B, who is barely literate, and she's offended by me saying that, but she's already proven that I was correct in that assessment in her responses to me.
Interesting. So that was so if you could flesh out a little bit your critique. So your point was she's not the right representative for Black America. This is patronizing to single her out to get the one interview. Why do you think she specifically is the wrong person for Biden to be talking to?
I know that you've covered her most recent song. It's literally about female genitalia, and she's encouraging other women to use their female genitalia in all of these different ways. So that's first and foremost. I would challenge Joe Biden to read the lyrics to her last song aloud. He would never do that. He doesn't know any of her music. The second issue is that everything she was saying to him was pointedly ridiculous, and he was just nodding and saying yes, right? She said that she wants her taxes lowered, and in the very same breath that she said that she wants to make sure there's free universal health care for all. It sounded like to me an 8-year-old girl reading a Santa list, a list to Santa. Here's what I want, and I want it now, and none of it really makes any sense. But that's because a child doesn't know that Santa isn't real, and they think magic can happen. So it was largely embarrassing. And I felt that as a community, Black America, whether you're left or right, should have said this isn't okay. There are plenty of intelligent Black Americans on the left side. There are intelligent Black Americans on the right side. Right. And he could have picked any of them to do an interview with, but he chose her because he knew that he wouldn't be challenged.
So you think that's what it was? That he just knew that it would be easy for him. His handlers knew that.
Absolutely. I mean, you've got Joe Biden, who is going senile anyways, and he doesn't do well when somebody does fluster him or challenge him. And you have Cardi B, who knows virtually nothing about politics. She knows absolutely nothing other than her handlers telling her you need to stand behind a Democrat.
That's interesting. It's shocking to me that you were attacked for making what seems like a very reasonable point.
Right. And I was really attacked, which was interesting, was more by the media. And eventually she ended up deleting her 9 posts to me because even her fans were telling her, tap out, you're in way over your head trying to debate politics. But the media came to her defense. And to me, that was Joe Biden and the DNC freaking out because I embarrassed them. I made a point, I made a sound point, and people saw in her response how uneducated she is about politics, making up things Trump has never said, that conservatives have never said, platforms we don't stand on. She just knows orange man bad, Republicans racist wrong. And that's all we really got out of her.
There's a real penalty for telling the truth right now. And I think you know that maybe better than anyone else. Candace Owens, I'm really glad you came on tonight. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you.